What is good? Osiris here, stuck in the middle. ABC News, Shanghai to start easing lockdown after another mass testing. I don't know. I don't know what's going on in Shanghai. In China, this is, we're going like worse than before. I think these lockdowns in China look worse than what I saw early on in the pandemic. I mean, this is or similar 2 years ago. Shanghai basically been on lockdown. When I say on lockdown, I mean you can't leave your crib lockdown. Let me share with you what's going on. China's largest city of Shanghai says it will soon begin lifting lockdown in communities that report no positive cases within 14 days after another round of testing. I don't know why the headline's written like this, because it says Shanghai to start easing lockdown after another mass testing. That's not what's happening. They will if there are no positive cases within 14 days. When they say no positive cases, they mean zero positive cases. A lot of these people are asymptomatic. They don't even know they have it. They don't have any symptoms at all. They don't feel like they have it. They don't know that they have it. So you have to see zero within 14 days. If one comes back, you could go through this lockdown period again. I don't know who's writing these headlines and why. This is through the Associated Press. So what's happened, the Associated Press is basically the main one, them and Reuters maybe, and then everybody just copies those articles. That's not the real headline. The real headline is they're going hard, they're going ham. A fresh round of testing comes as the city reported about 23,000 cases on Saturday, most of them asymptomatic. Large swaths of Shanghai with a population of 26 million. So I understand it's a city, they're cramped in, a city about, size of Florida, the state of Florida, just the city. So you got everybody cramped in. So of course it's going to spread quicker in these urban type areas. They've been on lockdown since March 28th, leading to complaints from residents about shortages of food and basic necessities. I'm starting to wonder what this is really about, because it for damn sure ain't about what they're saying it's about. The way that they're handling this does not make sense for anything other than if you want to make sure you have the logistics in place to control people when you need to. So I don't know. I'm just speculating. Let me get away from this. So I want to make sure that the overlords don't get mad, because I don't know what will get them mad. In an imaginary world, and if you're trying to lock a city down in this make-believe world over a virus, then you're really not concerned about the virus. You're concerned about the power, the logistics that it takes to control people, to control the food. So you got people locked up in their apartments. They can't leave. When I say they can't leave their apartment, I mean they can't leave their apartment. So they can't leave their apartment, their residence. How do you stop them from leaving? You've got to practice that stuff. If you feel like you're going to need to do that down the road as a city, as a country, because the common people far outnumber the military and the elite in any country. So when it comes down to famine or wartime or elections or threatening the government type of stuff, if the government wants to make sure that they can control the people, that's something that you got to practice for, like a fire drill. And to me, it looks more along those lines. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong. But this doesn't make any sense. And I'm in America. I look at it, man, the lockdown left would love this. That's what they wanted our country to be, is this. Terrifying videos on Twitter. This might be hard to see, but I'm going to show you who this came from. Patrick Madrid. I think he's a credible source. So I don't know if this is true or not, but he said this video was taken April 7th in Shanghai, China, by the father of a close friend of his. She verified its authenticity. People screaming out of their windows after a week of total lockdown. No leaving your apartment for any reason. There are a couple people who can be leaders in these apartment complex to get food. I'll show a thread on that and end with my takeaway. But this is haunting. Some people on Twitter were like, man, I might hear these screams in my sleep.
这个是正常人的叫，好了，终于200人，
So I'll talk over
所有
it.
人都在叫。
They're basically saying they're people screaming.
就刚刚5分钟前头，叫还没几个了。
The translation that was given to Patrick Madrid was, it's Shanghai. Everyone is screaming. Started with a couple, now everyone is screaming. After a week of lockdown. Something is going to happen. No one knows when this is going to end. He says they can't even step outside their apartments. There is footage on here, as seen on Weibo. Shanghai residents go to their balconies to sing and protest lack of supplies. We're talking about food and supplies. And guess what appears? A drone. That sound you hear is an announcement from a drone. So you can't see it. It's hard to see on the video, but it's a drone flying in the sky. And the translation is, according to Alice Su, please comply with restrictions. Control your soul's desire for freedom. Do not open the window or sing. Man, this is about something way bigger than the zero policy for the pandemic in China. They're, in my opinion, that is prepping for something. I don't know if they know. I'm not saying they know anything or what. But we're already seeing in Pakistan and other areas people starting to rise up like bread is a little expensive and I'm getting hungry. And now I'm not a civilized human anymore. And that's not to disrespect anyone. That will happen to all of us. If we can't eat, we turn into survival instinct animals. We are nothing more than animals. And if it gets to that case, I'm just throwing out a scenario. China needs to know how to control it. Because they got 26 million people in a city. You can't control 26 million people in a city easily. If they wanted to rise up and leave, they could rise up and leave. So you've got to put the fear in them. You got to let the drone say, fight back those urges for freedom. So you kind of brainwash them. Does that sound similar to America? The only difference is our culture is different. They haven't fully switched our culture. We still have the Constitution. To a certain extent, it's helping us buy some time. They're doing stuff to cats and dogs. Jared Nelson, I'm going to end with this. He said, day 22 of my Shanghai lockdown. As we feared yesterday, so he's in Shanghai. As we feared yesterday, we have new restrictions. Before we were allowed to leave our building, but not community, to get deliveries. No more. Now we are not allowed out of our apartment door. Each day, 2 volunteers from each building are allowed out to collect deliveries for the whole building. I'm a volunteer. We have to wear the full white suit during the process. Mine was just delivered to me. And we only have a 2-hour window in the afternoon. If you have a delivery in the morning, for example, of meat, if you're lucky enough to get that, it will sit at the gate until it is our time in the afternoon to get the delivery. The temperature in Shanghai right now at 5 p.m. is 80. Last night, they took several of the positive people from our community to a central quarantine site. From what we've heard, they didn't arrive until 2 a.m., and the conditions there were awful. No showers, portable toilets only, no hot water, and of course, no privacy. That was a sad development. We were all hoping that the positive people would be able to quarantine at home. The new policies indicate the Shanghai lockdown will be lifted in some areas soon, but only if there are no positive cases close to you recently. That's the 14 days we talked about. Here's a map. A little outdated. It's worse now of positive cases in Shanghai. What does that mean? No positive cases close to you. Do you see what he's trying to infer here? He's trying to give us information without spelling it out for us. No positive cases close to you. How do you define that? Look at the map. It's 26 million people in a small area. There's going to be a positive case on somebody. It looks like we are being required to do the administered testing downstairs tonight. I don't know. Are they doing the testing like they've been doing in China? In America, they've been doing the nose swab, that's annoying enough. In China, I mean, at least, a couple of years ago, they were doing a different type of testing. I don't know which type they're doing, but this is crazy. They're doing it every day, I think is what he's saying here. It looks like we're being required to do the administered testing downstairs tonight instead of the home test we've been doing, including twice yesterday. Whoa. Everyone will be outside lining up for the test, but then must go back home immediately and not pick up deliveries. Whoa. So they go outside for the test and you get a little sniff of fresh air and you're like, man, maybe I could get to a store or something. I don't know, get a hot dog or something. Oh, man. After the test, this is happening right now in China. After the test, I will come back home, put on my white PPE suit, and go back out to pick up deliveries and bring them back to people in our building. Because it's too risky for those people to be out to pick up deliveries, those people who are out for the tests in the long line, for my family, we had 3 deliveries that were booked to deliver today. 2 group purchases of meat, seafood, and 1 individual purchase of soap and shampoo. All 3 were canceled. But we did get a delivery sent from a friend in another part of the city with better access to groceries. I have become Da Bai, meaning big white, an affectionate term for all the wonderful, hardworking healthcare workers and volunteers in these suits. A big thank you to all the real Da Bai. The tests we did tonight were our 16th during this lockdown. All 15 previous were negative. We recently had been very confident each test would be negative, but today we feel unsure. More and more people in our community are positive, possibly from these testing events. Thank you, everyone, for the kind comments and concerns. It's been a difficult situation, but for our families together, we are safe and we have enough food. Through constant efforts for the time being. Today was a big step backwards for us, but hopefully tomorrow will be better. And stay positive. Some important things to know about the situation in Shanghai. It's a huge city, and the circumstances are different everywhere. Our situation is bad, but a lot of people are much worse. I want to hear what that means. Things can be absurd, but also true. We can get cake easily, but not meat and fruit. Wow. At some point, you need protein. For the media, I've received dozens of requests for interviews. I won't be doing any. If you want a good reflection on the story in our city, please look to someone other than a white American man. My threads here hopefully help show our challenges, but I'm not the face of Shanghai. I think he's putting himself at risk even putting that on Twitter. But my end with this is we got to make sure that this type of stuff here, this is what the lockdown left wants to do. And they really want to do it against their political enemies. They don't want to lock down. But they'll be happy to. I mean, they've locked down their own cities. They're still having issues in Boston, like opening up the restaurants fully and stuff. It's just sickening to see businesses crumbled by the government, not free markets. If the government stayed out the way and people said that we're too afraid, then there's nothing I can do. That's the market saying we're too afraid. But it's the government getting in the way. This is what the lockdown left. That includes the GOP that supports lockdowns. This is what the lockdown left. This is their utopia. We cannot let that happen in America. Let me know what you think. Take care.